Hi everyone, welcome to this yoga asana class, which you can take as easy and gentle or as physically challenging and mentally challenging as you want. We'll be holding postures for a long time. As you know, there you're fully in control, and I want you to do as little or as much as you want, and I'll give lots of options, but I want you to come up with your own as well. So we'll start on the back, just bringing the soles of the feet together and dropping the knees to the sides. And already, if you want to bring the feet further away or closer in, that's fine. If this arch doesn't quite work, if you feel too much going on in your hips, inner thighs, then just adjust. And blocks underneath the knees are also a nice thing sometimes. So get comfortable wherever you are. Close the eyes. Mine are already closed. And hands to the stomach, maybe chest and stomach. Rib cage, and we notice the breath come and go. And if it feels like you need to get a deep breath out of your system, breathe in, sigh out, if that helps in any way. But then it's all about observing that natural, spontaneous breath, your rhythm. Hatha yoga or hatha yoga, which is really anything to do with the body, whether we're practicing fast or slow, long, short, gentle, physically strenuous. It's all sitting under that label, and we want to try and focus on asana practice here, so not as much movement, but that stillness in the body so that we can achieve stillness of the mind. Arch the back a little bit more, just to become more aware of it. And that natural, spontaneous breath is actually a bit harder to observe because it's the default. But we try to cultivate interest in it, rather than thinking we need to guide it or we need to overbreathe. And this breath right now is the one that you want to come back to in all the asanas that we go to and that we hold for longer, different when we're moving. But this here is what we're trying to emulate in other postures. And if we're listening in to that pranic response, not just the breath, but everything that it tells us about our state of body and mind, and we're doing everything right. Now raise your knees and bring the feet to the edges of the mat or outside of the mat. Arms go next to the head. And we gently drop our knees to the left side and then to the right. And we want to do this slowly so that we can feel all the things that are going on in the body and can get used to really paying attention to all that the body is telling us. Stop on the left side, stay here, get comfortable. You might bring that left foot on top of the right knee, but nothing is necessary. I've got my foot under here because my feet are quite cold actually. I don't know why. It's not that cold outside. And just breathe into the right side of the body. Or rather feel the breath in the right side. As always, a few guided breaths can always be helpful. Can actually also help bring you back into the present moment if you feel like you're running on a lot of adrenaline right now and you're used to a faster pace. And then we slowly raise the knees and drop them to the right side. Again, that right foot even can come on top of the left knee. Right foot can hide underneath the left leg if you want. And you're here to observe what's going on in the left side. Less of a twist, more of a stretch into the left side and of course into the outer hip here as well. And as you're lying here, just to make sure you're not too bored, check on your jaw, make sure it's nice and relaxed. If you feel like smiling, that's always good. It drives your brain into activity that's typical of happiness and allows your forehead and eyebrows to relax as well. Raise the knees. And now from here, close that gap under your back, the gap with the ground, and pull the knees in towards you, nice and gently, so that you feel the flat lower back on the ground, and the tailbone is heavy too. Move gently into your toes and into your ankles. For that, maybe you want the feet apart, so that, or knees apart, so that the feet are apart as well and can do their own thing. And we stretch our left leg away from us, just on the ground. Hug the right knee in, nice and tightly in. And we guide the knee over to the left side and turn the head to the right. And if you heard that just now, that was my back creaking or my spine. Sometimes quite a nice feeling. You're in our favorite version of Markadasana, which may not be this. That's just mine. We roll onto the back. Legs and arms go up. So we find that connection of the lower back and the ground. We don't overstretch into the hamstrings, calves, Achilles tendons, and just do whatever feels comfortable here. So as straight as the legs want to be, as bent as they need to be, in order for you to be comfortable. And again, remembering any sensation we feel in the body was actually helpful, right? The default is something that we don't notice. You wouldn't suddenly go, I can hear my heartbeat, unless it was faster. So that's when we become aware of things. We release and hug the left knee in towards us, first into that glute stretch. We stretch the right leg away from us and just pull to a point where it's comfortable. Let yourself soften. Don't resist that stretch. And then slowly guide your knee to the right side. Again, there's many different options of how you can come into this twist. All are the monkey. So lots of different variations of this monkey pose. We slowly roll onto the back again. And this time, if we can, we'll check what's comfortable. We start by hugging the knees in and pushing them out towards the armpits. Hands underneath the thighs, to the backs of the thighs to begin with. And then we flex the feet and raise them up. Again, as we know, we could come into, well, I say as we know, I don't know. But if you are familiar with Anandabalasana, then this is obviously what we'll mostly see, hands to the feet or hands to the ankles. It's not necessary, so find your own variation here based on every part of the body. So is the lower back comfortable? Are the shoulder blades comfortable? Is there anything going on in the neck that you need to pay attention to? For example, is it tense right now because the chin has risen a little bit? So what needs to happen here in order for you to be comfortable? What has happened if you are holding onto the feet and it may not be for you? So those are the things to be aware of. But there could be loads of other things. And we're here to pay attention so that this blissful child pose, or often called happy baby, bal, child, baby, not as much of a distinction. While we in English have the word toddler, in India I often think there's just bacha and it's or bal in the case of Sanskrit. It's all just baby, considered baby child. There's not a big difference. So from here we stretch the legs out. Of course you can keep holding onto the feet, but chances are that just to begin with it's a bit more comfortable to hold the legs in place or gently press down rather than reaching the arms so far to the sides. Checking how straight the legs can be, but then how straight they want to be. So it's never about what is possible, but what would you hold if you were to hold for much longer. And that's really if you're working with intentions, or if you want a mantra, this is a good one to keep in mind, that if something is possible, it's not necessarily what you want to strive for. So always make sure you're comfortable and would be comfortable for longer, so that you don't have to count the seconds, the breaths, the minutes, until we're moving to the next one. And we slowly release. Internal rotation after we've opened up. Right knee on top of the left. Pull the knees in towards you. This may just be enough, but you could bring the hands a little bit further down towards the feet. They could be on the shins, could be on the ankles, and you could then pull the feet in or raise them and pull them in. Just going to a place that feels comfortable for you. So again, no right or wrong. This is just one way of stretching into your hip. Both hips, but especially the right one. Just in case you were not really feeling anything. And then, closing the eyes is obviously helpful to tune into the body and let these little messages trickle down. What can you feel? What is that level of comfort that you want? Is the breath steady and relaxed? And then we slowly change sides. Left knee on top of the right, and it's always fine to just hold on to the knees. For example, you could bring your hands underneath that right leg, because then you're pulling at the right and the left is automatically coming in as well, staying right on top. Because sometimes when we go deeper, the knees go apart and then we'd rotate externally again, which we've obviously done already in Anandabalasana. Nice and relaxed wherever the hands are. We let the breath come and go. Maybe one side feels very different to the other and needs something else. And we check if the breath is constricted or flowing freely. We check that all the time, and sometimes I'm here for reminders. And that's really the definition of a guru, and not that I'm calling myself your guru now, but there is a difference between guru and teacher, and a guru is more of a guide, someone who gives little pointers, who sends you on the right way, but the path is still very much up to you. And it's not this ABC needs to happen. So very much up to you is what I'm trying to say. Release, hug the knees in, move into the toes and ankles again, especially if you were holding on to the feet, then obviously it's more necessary. But we're going to do that anyway and flex more than do anything else. We're just getting used to that flexion. And once we're used to holding it, we're going to flex the feet up towards the ceiling. Legs can be as straight as is comfortable. That may be much less than me, maybe more than me. And we flex the hands up towards the ceiling as well, but relax the shoulders down. So there's no shoulder blade sticking into the ground now. And then your toes come closer towards the hands. So if they wanted to tap the hands, you should really feel that here in the backs of the legs. Release. Hands underneath the knees. Now we're going to open the eyes if we want to, rock up onto the tailbone, and absolutely bring the feet to the ground if you need to. Straighten the spine. If this isn't possible with the feet off the ground, then they come onto the ground. And that can happen now, it can happen as we're staying. So you know your core best as well. You know what else is going on here. If your tailbone is hurting, then also change something. Release a little bit of weight into the feet so that it's not all in here. And arms to the front, open the palms to the ceiling, roll into the shoulders. And slide the shoulders down and raise the arms. Maybe raising the head a little bit. And then we're going to drop the toes towards the ground very gently. You can also release them to the ground. And we're going to raise them again. Now what is happening is that the angle of the legs is staying the same, while we're going to start feeling that in the hip. Of course your core is engaged here, but it's not doing the work of raising and lowering the legs. That is, of course the core is engaged all the time, but this is hip action. And if you feel like taking it not so easy, then you're going to raise and lower the legs that are straight. But if the legs are bent, what we don't want to do is this. So this is not the lower legs working. This is from the hips down. And you should start feeling warmth. And isn't it nice that we can feel so many things in the body? Sometimes we'd rather not feel certain things, but here we've got that ability to feel things, and that's great. Now slowly release and cross the legs if that's comfortable. If you feel like you want to change something here, then of course you can sit on the heels, on blocks, whatever you want. I'm so gracious, aren't I? Right, hands onto the knees. We're going to drop our ears slowly from side to side. As always, you can close the eyes if you want. And then slowly from here, draw a circle. Let the chin guide the way. And then I'm willing to bet that we weren't really paying attention to the breath. We want to do that now, but we want to try to not guide the breath and just let it be. So what does the breath naturally come up with right now? May it be natural to inhale as the chin goes up, to exhale as the chin goes down. And I don't want you to overthink it. I want you to move in unison with the breath. And that may mean holding your breath. Obviously, if you're not pregnant, if you don't have high blood pressure in particular, but any blood pressure issues and heart condition, we want to be more careful with breath holds. Now, right ear to the right shoulder, and we raise the chin towards the ceiling. And then down. Left ear to the left shoulder. And then raise the chin. And release. Chin to the chest. Hands behind the head for a little bit of pressure, not too much. You can always increase it slowly and go to a place where you feel like, yeah, this is fine, or no, that was too much. And then as you keep pressing, push your shoulders towards the back so that your shoulder blades are squeezing towards each other. And we release. Hi. Right hand to the ground, left arm up. We look up to the ceiling and send the arm over to the right side. And then that left palm opens to the ceiling. We look to the ceiling if we want, but we always adjust where we've got the head based on how the neck feels. And then breathe in as you're stretching into the left side. Breathe out, press the elbow behind you. Inhale and exhale. And again, rather than making that breath happen, because we don't really need to, we're going to just feel the breath. And it may just be that these breaths are much quicker than you would assume. You might be very aware of how many breaths you take within a minute, although that obviously changes completely based on so many different things. Stress levels is one, hormones are another. But yeah, in general, slower is better. But for us, it's about just feeling the breath and listening to it. That's the main thing. Now stretch out and hold. And then from here, come back and over to the other side. Left hand down, right arm up and over. We open the palm to the ceiling. We make sure the neck is comfortable. That may mean dropping the head. Or you could be comfortable with looking up, maybe even to the fingertips. No pressure here, no pressure on your body, no pressure on your mind, your ego. That's the more important one here. Because with the body there is an end to what we can do, but the ego has all sorts of ideas of what should be happening, but no should about it. We press down on an exhale, we stretch out on an inhale. And make sure that all of what we do is comfortable. It makes us feel good. And ultimately, all that attention to the physical body is, of course, there for us to, I always say, outgrow the body. But what that really means is the body should not be a distraction for that next step in our yoga path. And that next step is, not being concerned with the body, going into mind stuff. I think that was one, a physicist called it mind stuff, when he was talking about yoga related, but actually the science that he was working on, because fact is that no one really knows where we come from, how does this all work, why are we here, all those big questions that physics as well as yoga is trying to answer. And in yoga we've got that wonderful poetic way we keep holding, which means essentially we don't have to be specific because we've got that poetry. And release. And then from here, nice and gently twist. We've got that nice long spine. We turn the head to the back and we breathe in and out. Now, as you know, notice, not as you know, as you can see, my arm is resting against that opposite waist. So obviously I'll be able to feel my, my breath here in not just the front of the body, but the back as well. So if you've got any connection of your arm and your back or the side body, just be aware of the breath here. And twists do constrict a little bit, make that breath a little bit different, but we try to keep it as deep, slow and gentle as possible. And we come back and change sides. Slowly release and hands onto the knees. Drop the chin to the chest, round your back. Head stays dropped, shoulders come forwards. We round the back even more, arms to the front. I'm quite tight. I played golf 2 days in a row. Now pull that left wrist to the right side. A few breaths into your back. And the right wrist gets pulled to the left side. And the torso follows a little bit, but that weight stays the same in both butt cheeks. And back to center. Slowly come up and onto all fours, that wonderful Parighasana, which literally means tabletop. Spread the fingers, check that your shoulders, wrists, knees and hips are aligned, and then close your eyes if you like, and start moving in a way that feels comfortable to you. And that is different for all of us. So if you're practicing alone, that's probably a good thing, because then you're not thinking this needs to happen, that needs to happen. And you're not taking inspiration from someone who can't give you inspiration because they don't know your body. And just your body is deciding where you want to be now. And again, whenever you feel like your mind is wandering because this is slower than what you're used to, guide a couple of breaths. Let them take you back into the present moment. And then from here, tabletop, draw circles around your wrists. Make those circles nice and big, and you can make them slow so that you don't lose control. And they can get bigger over time as well. You can start with a little bit. You also change direction, clockwise, counterclockwise. And then bring the fingertips to the sides. And even further from here, maybe all the way towards the knees, but that is a big ask for lots of us. So just rotate outwards as much as you can. Long arms. And then a little arch, just a little one. And we bring one top of the hand onto the ground while the other hand just comes to the front. So a little bit less weight. I normally give the option of both at the same time. Feel free to do that as well. Or maybe one after the other. Change sides. And then from here, raise your right arm. Maybe slide your left foot out a little bit. Doesn't have to happen. Slide your right foot as far to the back as you can. Foot on the ground, arm up. We're now going to drop that arm behind us and just look at the ceiling. Isn't it beautiful? And if you feel like you can, that right leg can go up. But it doesn't have to happen. It can stay on the ground. If you feel like it's nicer to raise it again, then that left foot comes out, and then it's much easier to go in. But if you want the foot inwards and keep the right foot on the ground, go ahead. That's where I'll be. Pushing that right shoulder to the back. Now from here, release. Right knee comes back down. Right arm goes over to the left side, and the head comes to the ground. Left arm goes up. And the hips gently press to the right side. Other things that the right hand could do could go to the front, palm could open to the ceiling, arm could go behind us. And we take ourselves back slowly, back into tabletop pose. And we raise our left arm from here. We slide that right foot out a little bit or a lot, depending on where we want to go. So you're probably fine to actually keep it where it is if you just straighten that left leg as I did before on the other side. If you want to raise the leg, so just see what's comfortable. What do you want to feel? What is it that you're feeling? And what do you prefer? Where do you want to be? And then that left arm drops behind us. We press that shoulder to the back. We look up to the ceiling. And checking on the breath. And we also check on the right shoulder to make sure we're not sinking into the shoulder or the arm. And then a gentle release, left knee down, right foot in, left arm to the right side and onto the ground, and the head too. Right arm could go up, drop behind you, go to the front, and you have the option to change that, not right now, or whenever you want, really. Hips gently press to the left. And from here, back onto all fours. We round the back, might be nice. Drop the hips towards your heel, maybe all the way, so see what's comfortable. It might just be nice to rock the hips from side to side rather than go all the way back, so up to you. And then gently arch, raise the head, tuck the toes under and push the hips up. And it may be necessary to walk it out a little bit, but after what we've done on the back with flexing the feet, it may just be nice, or you may be ready to press both heels down at the same time. So now we want to focus on the shoulders, lifting, pressing to the back. Tailbone rises a little bit higher. Mouth stays closed. And then we breathe in and raise the right leg. We point the toes to the ceiling. We might add a quad stretch here by flexing the foot, dropping the heel, and then also press the knee further up to stretch deeper into the hip. And then from here, look to the front, step to the front, left toes face the front so that the heel can easily be off the ground. And we raise the arms. Straighten the torso and stay. Now we're going to stay here for a while. I want your breath to stay the same, or rather, if it has changed a little bit because of the movement just now, we want to stay long enough for that breath to come back to what we remember it being when we were lying down. If you want to challenge yourself here, sink deeper, raise your right heel, close the eyes. So all of these are challenges that might feel nice, but they are absolutely not necessary. Just being here and staying is challenge enough, and that's all I want you to do now. Just being with the breath. And you'll also notice if a physical challenge, or that challenge of closing the eyes, for example, gets too much, because the breath will tell you. Honest with yourself. Ashwasanchalanasana, one of the postures, and indeed all the postures where we're raising the arms. They're strong postures, postures of strength. Ashwa, the horse. And slowly from here, hands come to the ground, to the inside of the foot. We raise the right heel. We bring the left heel to the ground and raise the toes. We've opened up to the left side here. Hands can absolutely stay on the ground. For some of us, if you feel you can sink lower, then that right heel can come back onto the ground as well. Hands stay on the ground, but you're trying to elevate yourself a little bit here. So chest to the front, shoulders to the back. And of course, if you want it, if you don't need the hands, get creative here. Arms could, so this right arm could press the right knee out a little bit. The hands could come to the heart center. No right or wrong, and use the hands on the ground if you need them. And I'm fully aware that you may not be even half as close, and that's completely fine. It's about what you're now feeling in the body. So do a quick scan of your body. Maybe starting with the most intense sensation, and then going from there progressively into the slightly more subtle sensations, and paying still close attention to that deepest feeling of a stretch, so that you're able to say, okay, now it's enough, this doesn't feel right anymore. That's all it is. Being wise, listening to that internal wisdom of the body. Slowly release, rolling onto the knee, so the front of the left leg, hands to on either side of your foot, We sink down a little bit, keeping the knees, the knee can come further forwards than the toes if you want, but the heel is staying on the ground. And then slowly from here, tuck your left toes under, step your right foot to the back, come into a plank. This may be too much for so many reasons. Wrists, shoulders, core. So you want to check on everything here and make sure that a full plank is appropriate for you. And if it isn't, then just drop the... Sorry, I was just itching my eyebrow. Don't raise your left hand. Then just drop the knees to the ground, coming into a half plank. Nothing wrong with that either. Longer arms, space between the shoulder blades, checking on the breath. So when I was telling you my life story now, I shouldn't have to stop talking to take a deep breath. It should be not like this, and then, and then, and then. So nice and comfortable breath. And if my breath wasn't comfortable, then I would do the only wise thing, and that would be to drop the knees to the ground. Okay, knees come down, and then we've done something for the arms, so don't feel like you need to overdo this. Bend the arms a little bit, elbows coming towards the rib cage, as if you wanted to slide the upper arms along the torso and then stop short of the ground or far further up. And then drop your hips, raise the chest. How far is completely up to you. And we tuck the toes under, push the hips up, drop the head. And we get ready for the other side. And for now, just part of that asana, that triangle shape, mountain pose, downward dog. So just like Vedanta calls that feeling of, or the attainment of enlightenment and proper meditation, because everything else is just practice for it. One thought that gets rid of all other thoughts, essentially. So one thought that overpowers, that pushes all other thoughts away. Here, or if we translate that into postures, then it wouldn't be how many postures we can do in 1 hour. It would be, can we do one posture in 1 hour and really mean it, be there. Whether that's Padmasana, the lotus pose, classic meditative seat, whether it's Shavasana, just lying on the ground, but really meaning it, being there, or whether it's a more challenging posture physically, but sometimes less is more. Now inhale and raise the left leg, point the toes to the ceiling. Keep pressing the shoulders to the back, so don't forget that you don't want to come forwards here. And then if you want to flex the foot, drop the heel, high plant. I do feel sorry for this poor palm. And press the knee up so that you're getting that extra stretch into the hip. Now look to the front, step to the front, Ashwasanchalanasana. So just that high lunge. Arms up, torso straight. Little variations would be sinking lower, raising the left heel off the ground, maybe closing the eyes. You can choose one, you can choose all, you can choose none of that, and just stay exactly where you landed. And checking again, as we did at the beginning, that the jaw is nice and relaxed. Eyebrows, forehead, And then just tuning into the breath. It's an effortless breath that doesn't need to be guided. We're here to really just observe it. That is our pranic response. Response in the first instance of the breath, because that's an easy thing for us to notice. Then what does that say? The breath is shallow, it's likely to have an effect on our heart rate. When the heart rate is faster, we can feel that. So we'll pay attention to the breath, but be aware of all the other things that it influences in the body. If a breath is slow and our rest and digest system is sparked because of that breath, then it might be that you feel more saliva in the mouth. So lots of little tiny things that we can observe by just observing the breath first and making little deductions, because we know the body, we know it well. And then from here, slowly ignore me as I'm facing the other way so that I can face you again. Hands to the ground, both on the inside of that left foot. We're going to sink down and in the process raise the left heel because that makes it easier. And bring the right heel to the ground because that also makes it easier. And the toes rise to 12 o'clock. I always think when I say to 12 o'clock, that's almost like, is this military or what is it? I don't know. Anyway, upwards. And we either keep the hands on the ground or we decide to raise them. And obviously if that left heel is off the ground, it will be harder for you to balance as well. So this becomes something harder than if you can go deeper and then do whatever with the hands. So of course we take that into consideration as well. So nothing needs to happen here. Like I said, everything can, nothing needs to happen. My credo for everything. And if you did one thing on one side, it doesn't mean that you need to replicate that on the other. But we do what we do with intention. We've thought about it, we've then decided, okay, this is better for me. Some of these things happen intuitively, in fact many do, and that's great. But we do often just think, okay, this is how it should look, how am I getting there? And then you just make it happen and force it to happen. That's not what we want to do. I'm here for the pranic response. Slightly less long that hold because we're deepening in that variation of Anjaneyasana. And that comes now. So hands walk to the front, frame that left foot, we roll onto the front of the right leg, and maybe the left knee is further forwards than your heel, maybe it's further forwards than your toes. That's all something you need to decide based on how that actually feels for you, because it is quite a deep stretch here into the back of the ankle. Can't really find my words today. Anyway, it's not much different to normally. But yeah, we hold here, we can close the eyes, we allow ourselves to breathe in a way that's comfortable. And if that breath doesn't become comfortable, of course it can change as we're going into a posture. In fact, I'd be surprised if it doesn't change at all. But as we're staying, we want that breath to be the recognizable one, that natural, spontaneous breath. Breathing into the belly, not just rib cage, chest, clavicles. Enough hips, we're going to tuck the toes under, step the right foot to the front, Step the left foot a little bit further outside of the mat. Drop your hips. Take those toes with you as you come onto the back and into Anandabalasana. And then release. Hug the knees in. Close the eyes. Like I said, sometimes asanas don't have to abound, and hopefully you don't feel cheated now because you felt like you needed at least 20 in a class. But sometimes, yeah, it really is about staying longer, noticing tiny little subtle changes that happen, getting to know your body that way. So some things are constant, as they say in economics, or is it all other things held constant or equal? So if we're just making sure that a lot of the things that we normally change are not changed, then we can make an adequate assessment of what's going on in the body and how your body responds to a particular posture over time as well. I find that quite interesting. Now from here, get comfortable in Shavasana. Close your eyes. And observe the breath. We'll lie here for a while in complete stillness. There's no guidance from me at all. And I want you to try and really focus on every single breath. guide your breaths. In for 3, out for 6. Remembering how you were breathing just now when you were not guiding the breath, and keeping it as close to this very natural, spontaneous breath. Forgetting about any ratio right now. Let the breath do its thing without worrying about what it does. Move into your fingers and toes and your wrists and your ankles. And in any other way you like. Arms, legs, hips, shoulders, neck, anything that you want here. Eyes can stay closed. You can open if you want them to, and in any way you like, maybe through the right side of the body, maybe you feel like rocking up, make your way into a comfortable seated position. Checking on any other parts of the body that you may not have stretched into as you were lying down. And then we're going to count how many breaths we're taking in a minute. And I want to remind you that we're here not to guide that breath in any way, but let it be. And I'm going to tell you when it's time to start counting. Just let the breath be. And I'll tell you when it's time to stop. And you might notice the breath is quite quick. We're starting now. Anything between 5 and 20, maybe over 20. Nothing's a tragedy, but that's sort of a good guidance. 5 is very, very slow breathing, obviously. Sometimes I'm like that. Today I felt a little bit stressed, oversharing. My breath got to 15. But obviously the more you're aware of the breath, the more you do these pranayama exercises, more of that in the next class, the more you can be in control of that breath. And we remember that a person's age does not depend on the number of years, but depends on the number of breaths. So chronological versus biological age. Anyway, we're going to open the eyes, take a deep breath in and raise the arms. And sigh out, drop the arms. And then inhale, arms go up. And this time as we exhale, we bring the hands to the heart center. Thank you very, very much, and I will see you soon.